Hey YouTube, Evergreen Stater. This is going to be part 2 of my video about high-speed rail and alternative energy. This is basically going to be about what I had in part 1 of my video. I talked last time about the lack of a high-speed rail system here in the US. I talked about the implications. I'm going to talk more in detail. Now, there are those out there who talk about high-speed rail isn't practical for the US because of large expanses of territory. I mentioned that in the first vid. I'm going to mention this more in detail. Our current rail, Amtrak, goes across large expanses of territory. You got a line expanding from Chicago to Minneapolis, all the way out to Seattle. And you got stops in Montana. I figure Amtrak can do it. Why not high-speed rail? I mean, somebody mentioned to me that, you got to come up with the funding for that, and the infrastructure has to be the same. Well, maybe. Still, I think we should give it a try, I still think part of it is because we're afraid of... I feel that the airlines are afraid. That's just the way I look at it. Why it's not getting off on the right foot, I would say, I think, this was supposed to be possibly the first administration where, we're going to give these things a try, but I say, the best thing to do is tell all these corporations, forget you, I'm doing this, and I'm doing this wholeheartedly. Let's do this high-speed rail, I say the money should be allocated to these three things if we're going to do high-speed rail, We do. Give subsidies to Amtrak to upgrade their track to high-speed rail, rip out all the old cars and replace them with high-speed rail cars, Then, or we could buy out Amtrak. The government could buy out Amtrak, retrofit everything to make it high-speed rail, and then give it back to the private sector. Or give subsidies and incentives to build new high-speed rail lines for the public or the private sector. That's how I feel about it. We're long overdue. If we can fund the national highway system, why should it be called socialism to fund a high-speed rail? Why not? Come on. That costs a lot of money to fund, look at China. They're doing maglev. Why can't we? The magnetic levitation trains where you basically, this is what you got. You got the rail here, and you got the train up here. The train basically is moving on air because, it's magnetic levitation. Why not do it? Come on. We're long overdue this. Oh, let's have this high-speed corridor here. No. We need to do this all over the country. We funded the highway system. Why not do this? I mean, we are behind on some stuff, and personally, I want to see better. Now we're going to talk about alternative energy here. Right now, we don't have all the technology that we need to get all of the oil out of the ground. It's not so much a matter of we're running. Oh, well, yeah, oil is a finite, there's only so much oil we can get out of the ground right now. Because, we don't have the technology to get the rest out of the ground. And, until that technology comes, I say we should put a lot of our time into alternative energy. Wind, sun, just something like that, And I say this because, not only is that, the oil, you can only get so much out of the ground right now. I would say right now, oil has this stranglehold on the US right now. I mean, part of the reason why some of these alternative energy things are not going on the way I think they should go on is because oil. I think some of the oil companies have some, you know, I mentioned in the last video, I talked with somebody who lived in Denmark, there are no oil companies there that can say, don't do this, I got into a profit. I don't care, I say we should, invest in more, like, do it as a primary source of energy, not as some fringe source of energy, but put more money into solar energy, put more into wind energy, put more into it in addition to what we got. Put more in. Think about how many jobs you could provide by building all the solar photovoltaic cells. Or, you gotta build windmills, and I'm not talking about just like assembling them. I'm talking about making the parts for them. Wind energy could work in, Texas, largest outputter of wind energy, followed by Iowa. I say, come on, I live in Georgia right now. I would say I will be more than happy to see more solar power used down here. And I would say the oil companies, it is my view that, some of the oil companies would prefer that alternative energy not be used. Because I think some people feel it would cut into their profits. Some people feel it, it would do things that, people fear losing profits. So, maybe it's like, oh, here's some money, make it harder to start this project. Or here's, you got the airlines, there's a lot of good that can be done with the alternative energy industry. There's a lot of money into this, and some of it's probably cleaner. I'm not saying do away with oil. I'm saying diversify. I am saying diversify. Bring more in. We can't depend on oil all the time. We got to use other stuff too. You can use, solar energy. And I'm, not just that, not just wind energy, biofuels, I watched a documentary a few years ago called Grease Car, where you basically had people going around, gathering up grease. The restaurants have been using it, they're using it and processing it, to use in cars. I say go for the ethanol, the biodiesel, and you can make biodiesel from algae. And, there are people out there, I say we need to get the nickel metal hydride patent back because, it was bought out by an oil company and basically sat on. Nobody uses it now. You can't. Maybe that's part of why the electric car can't get across. I say we need to get some of that back, And I say these biofuels, some people are saying, well, some cars can't take it. Well, there is another source to provide jobs for people, You gotta build new cars that'll take that fuel. You gotta build new engines and new parts that will take that stuff. And, I say if there are cars that can't take that energy, that stuff right now, like biodiesel or ethanol, or any of that, I say make a new engine that will take all the fuels.